who guided the college conference. He is the doctor of psychology. Also, American Anglican Church priest, and Aboriginal background person. First, he showed us a picture. There was one guy standing next to the tent, and it's 130 years ago. It is the picture for the record for the Aboriginal. Through the picture of the tent, and then there's some special sign on the flag. It is the picture him belong. Also, the person on the picture is his great-grandfather. When he was very young, he's almost 65, more than 60 years old person. The doctor, and then when he was very young, and then he was the only one goes to university in his village and his tribe. There, his family and his relative were very proud of him, because actually the Aboriginal are very proud person, but when they lost their homeland, and also they were sent to the residential school, and then they lost their culture and their language, and they are separated from their parents. Then people lost their pride. After that, he became a psychologist. Also, he became a clerk. He shared American Aboriginal First Nations tradition. He shared a special tradition. It called sacred circle. He shared to the people. Circle. Sacred circle. Circle. Yeah, circle. Thank you. Circle. In Japanese, circle. And the people, and through the sacred circle, and people shared their wounded mind. And then also he shared how it is important to share wounded mind each other. Because the scar in outside the body, it can be healed, but the wound in the inside of the mind, it can be a trauma, and then sometimes the wound in inside type the person. Also, sometimes the wound inside him or her hurt their family or friend or around them. I always try to see my mind. Something happened around me, and then I'm listening very carefully what my mind saying. Especially when my wife angry with me. And then at the moment, in Japanese, 惨めな気持ちになる. In English, how can I say 惨めな気持ちになる?
いじめ?
Miserable. Okay. So when my wife got angry with me, my mind became miserable. And also, I'm losing a will do something. So it is, I cannot understand why it happened in my mind. Maybe some kind of thing, my past, when I was childhood, or with my mother, maybe I feel my mother from her. Anyway, so something became my trauma and then make me miserable. The First Nations sacred circles, and they may sit around, and then one by one, they share their story. The most important thing during soccer, never cut the person's talking. Also, never judge what he speak or her what she speak, because the tradition of Aboriginal, the word came out from the mouth. In the word, there is his soul inside. So just listen very carefully. Of course, if sometime the person doesn't want to speak, just keep silence. It's okay. So make a turn and turn. Also, the important thing is when they share their story inside of the circle, they never bring it out to the outside. It is just inside of it is sacred, special circle in sharing. Then, when people share their story, what he hurted or she hurted during the circle, not only the person who shared, also people in the circle, also they experience the healing in their mind. So the professor asked to clergy bring the same experience in your church or in your family or in your friend. Today, we read the gospel. Jesus was crucified and he was killed. Then disciples, they were feared and they lost their hope. And in the dark room, they shut the door. And they just gathered there. Then, middle of them, Jesus appeared. Then what he did? Peace be with you. And he showed to them his hands and then the mark of the nail. And then he showed the mark of his side. How, at that moment, some disciples felt about that. And in the Bible said they rejoiced, but maybe some remind they just ran away from Jesus, and then they just hide, they betrayed, and they just bring their mind inside. Later on, the name is Thomas and his disciple. When he heard from others, Jesus appeared then Thomas said, I cannot believe. And even I put my finger in the hole, and so there's a finger, so maybe size is finger size, nail size, finger size. And then he said, even I put my hand to the side, so hand is like, finger is this side, right? And hand is like that. So Jesus has scar on his side because of spear. He was speared. When I read today's gospel, I remind the story of the sacred circle. On the Bible, we can see the peoples. They are not perfect. They are weak. They just leave their important people. They are very easy to doubt. They couldn't keep what Jesus taught. And just we can see on the Bible how human is weak. But in the weakness, the middle of the weakness, middle of the disciples, Jesus is inside, just middle of them. Then we can see another story. The disciples have changed. It seems like a sacred circle. People are invited to hear. So the story of the Bible is the same as the sacred circle, sharing the wounded, but they were healed because of Jesus' insight. Then they have changed. Today, also Jesus Jesus breathed on us and said, receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive the sins of any, they are forgiven them. From now on, we will meet Jesus through the taking Jesus' breath, and then we love God. Also, we will take care of ourselves very much. Also,